Yo, what is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 gameplay video. In this video, we're going to be chatting about the Revelry. We're now just a smidgen over a week into the Revelry, and we've got a couple weeks left of it. And I wanted to chat about my thoughts on whether or not this event was a hit or if it was a bit of a miss. And maybe if it's a mix of both, you know, what did they do well, what did they do not so well? And I would love for you guys to start thinking about what you might add to what I say in this video, because I mean, there's times when I do videos like this where we talk about feedback on certain things in the game, and I'll actually get responses from developers or people at Bungie who are like, hey, thanks for posting that video, we're looking at the comments section as a means of feedback. So I just want to make you guys aware that it matters when you comment in videos like this, not just on my channel, but on other channels of other content creators. These things are they're being watched. Your comment sections here are a vital source of feedback. So let's dive right into it. Let's talk about both PvE and PvP. We'll start with the PvE, and we'll talk about the Infinite Forest, right? And I, for one, love that they decided to incorporate the Infinite Forest again into another event. I always thought that when Curse of Osiris launched, and I actually made a video about this way back then, I said Infinite Forest has a lot of possibilities. I mean, it's all about setting up your own simulations. You can synthesize any reality you want in there. That's untapped potential. We could use that to do some fun things. And, you know, I'm glad that they decided not to let the Infinite Forest die off, even if Curse of Osiris was terrible as a, you know, content drop. I'm glad they decided to at least leverage that space and sort of dive into the fantasy that you could create in that space. So anyways, Infinite Forest Horde mode here. I think it's a fun novelty activity, but it's really not my type of Horde mode. And most people think of me as a PvP player. I'm a gamer, and I love all kinds of different games. And I have played a ton of Horde mode games in the past, and this is really not my. It's not really my flavor of Horde mode. My flavor of Horde mode is an activity where you really you have to set up your defenses. You really have to defend a position, and it's not necessarily a mobile thing. It's more like you got to hold your ground. You have to hold out, and there's waves. You know, where you can just take a breath after a wave. But then at the end of the wave, you know, it's quite the opposite. You feel like you're drowning. You know, just trying to keep your head above water as you're trying to manage all these enemies coming at you. You're just trying to survive. And then when the wave's done, you know, you get to take a breath. I love that feeling, you know. And this is not that. This is just, even from someone who plays predominantly PvP in Destiny, this activity is way too easy. Like, yeah, it's technically an endless Horde mode, but there's really no challenge there, in my opinion. I just got a couple of buddies together, and we would literally just get to the point where we're like, should we kill ourselves and go to the boss wave? We're past 60, 60 waves deep, so we may as well just kill ourselves. We've got the maximum time for the bosses, and just force the boss fights at this point. And that's, man, I hated getting to that point, because it just felt like we were a warm knife, you know, and the enemies were just soft butter, and we're just slicing through it, and it was no sort of challenging at all. It got really, really monotonous because of the lack of, you know, feeling like your life is really on the line here. It was just a novelty thing, especially with all the super chaining right now and the orb generation. Like, you're basically just trading off, okay, who's going to super this wave? Who's going to super this wave? You got your Skull of Ahamkara on and your Slova Bomb, right? I mean, it's just so easy, and I don't like that. So this is really not my type of Horde mode. I feel like it's a good, fun novelty activity, but for it to be the thing for 3 weeks is a little underwhelming for me. The armor, I think, looks cool. I like the armor. I like the shaders and the color schemes. The ornaments, they need to stay, in my opinion. I think it's silly that they don't. You know, we had in the end of Destiny 1, remember when they brought all the raids back, and they had these new ornaments for the raid armor? So you could go back and replay all the raids and collect the armor, and as you collected the set, like, for example, the Crota's End set, and you get these green, you know, holographic horns and stuff coming out, spikes coming off of the armor, and it looked so freaking cool. And the Vault of Glass set, especially with the Warlock, was like one of my favorite armor sets in the history of Destiny. Yeah, sort of the harpy tentacles coming off the back of the Warlock armor. It looked so freaking good, and I thought, hey, this is a good sign. At the end of Destiny 1, they're starting to make armor like this that's really alive and so appealing that it makes me want to go after it. And I was really disappointed that we are as deep into Destiny 2 as we are, and we're just now seeing some of our first like holographic living armor, and it's not even gonna stay. It's just here for the event, and it's like, are you freaking kidding me? I have no desire to go in there and grind out these ornaments if they're just gonna go away at the end of the event, and you're not gonna see these, you know, these projections coming off my armor. Man, that's such a bummer to me. So that's one downside. The tower, I will say this, the tower, they knocked it out of the park. I actually like going to the tower right now because it just looks incredible. The flora, the birds, the music, everything about it is just so good. They knocked that out of the park. So I know that that's not necessarily like an active thing, not something that you interact with directly. It's more just the ambiance. But man, I think that whoever was responsible, whatever team was responsible for making the tower look the way it is, they did a phenomenal job in my opinion. I actually love being in the tower right now. So 10 out of 10 on the tower. Let's talk PvP. And I don't know. All right, let's just dive into it. It's fun. It's really fun just to be able to take these tonics and just have ability spam out the wazoo. I think that is fun. I think that having the option to just spam our space abilities is really cool. It's very different than any other experience. And the thing I like about it is that I'm using things that I have literally never used. Like Kepri's Horn. I've done hours of Kepri's Horn. I've done hours of using the Worm Husk, and I never used the Worm Husk. I hated it. I had it back when it launched, and I hated it. I felt like it was gimmicky. Never used it. Never touched it. This event comes, and I'm like, this thing is fun. I enjoy using this Worm Husk. Jesters. I never use the Jesters. I'm using them now. Ashen Wakes. I almost never used Ashen Wakes. Using them now. It's a lot of fun. And these are things that I would not have done if nothing in the Crucible changed during the Revelry event. There are things I'm doing in the Crucible now that I have never done before, and I will probably never do again. And in that regard, I think this is a really fantastic event to have some overlap into the Crucible. I love it. Here's the thing I don't like. You can't escape it. I mean, no matter what you do to the sandbox, people will always find the easiest, most gimmicky, most spammy things to do in order to win. And some people, the way they play games isn't necessarily in the spirit of experimentation. They only, and I don't want you to hear this as criticism. Some people literally just play PvP in video games to get the best thing, to use the best thing, and to put up the best numbers. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But in this event, it means that you settle into largely the same meta you have outside of the Revelry, between Not Forgotten and Dust, well, at least on console. It's basically hand cannon shoddy, right? And now it's just they're adding the skip grenades with Shinobu's Vow on top of it, and they're only taking grenade tonics, and it just makes for a really aggravating and frustrating experience when you run into that. And it's good to have the option to say, okay, well, I had fun experimenting, now I want to go back to the regular Crucible. But the fact is we can't do that. And that's to me the main problem, is that you don't have the option to not participate in Revelry Crucible. And I know that that's a big risk, and I respect the risk they took. I respect the the experimentation here. And I love that they decided to take risks. I think they absolutely have to do that in order to make Destiny stay fresh and exciting. So I love that they did that, but 3 weeks is way too long if you cannot escape the Revelry. If there's no option to not participate, then This one, I don't know, I don't want to be overly critical here, but I was really shocked that they decided to make it this way. And, you know, they said, oh, we experimented. I know it didn't go the way we wanted it to in terms of its response. And I'm like, I could have called this a mile away, you know? If I were there on the team, I would have said, guys, I think this is going to be really cool and really fun, but do we really want to make it 3 weeks long with no option to not do it? Because the people that don't enjoy it are basically going to be alienated from the game for a month almost. Do we really want to do that? So I was really surprised that they went that route. So that's a big miss for me, is having no option to not participate for almost a month. I hope they never do anything like that again. I hope they do things like the Revelry again. Absolutely. I hope they take big risks, but I hope they do not force you into inactivity for so long, whether you like it or not. Because I like the Revelry, but I really like normal Crucible too. And I'm a bit bummed out, even as someone that loves playing Revelry Crucible, I'm still bummed out that I don't have the option to just go into standard PvP, because I do really like standard PvP. So that's a big miss for me. All in all, the Revelry it's not a 100% bad experience to me. I think they did some cool things. The Horde mode, not really my style of Horde mode. It's a fun novelty event. I'm glad there's armor there to chase. The ornaments need to be permanent. 3 weeks is a little long for an activity that is so one-dimensional. The tower looks great. Bummed that there's no new weapons to chase other than the Arbalest, but the Arbalest is a fantastic addition into the sandbox. I love that weapon and I love using it. PvP, really fun, using things I've never used before and will never use again. The problem is you can't escape it. So I don't know, I think if I were to have to give a number value to the Revelry overall, I would probably say this is a 5 out of 10 for me. About a 5 out of 10 for me. I hope they elaborate on it. I hope they improve upon it. I hope they take the feedback and change the way that they deliver this experience down the road. Feel free to give me your thoughts, your insights, how you feel about this activity, about this event in the comment section below. And I do look forward to reading those responses. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Be warm and well fed. Hope to catch you in the Crucible.